Remember when Saturday night TV meant someone was about to drive a car off a cliff and land perfectly? When the bad guys wore three-piece suits and still couldn't catch two guys in overalls? When the show's biggest star technically didn't have a driver's license, because it wasn't a person? That was a different era. Pure, unfiltered, hay-bale launching chaos. And we miss every second of it. Two young cousins always in trouble for stuff they didn't even do anymore. A wise old uncle smarter than anyone gave him credit for. A cousin whose wardrobe caused more accidents than any car chase. A sheriff who couldn't catch a cold. And a county boss running every scam in a 50-mile radius while sweating through a three-piece suit. It wasn't trying to be smart. It was just loud, fast, and glorious. But behind all that dust and denim, there were stories most people never heard. So let's get into them. Start with the family patriarch. On screen, humble, dirt under the fingernails, folksy wisdom, overalls. The kind of man who looked like a $20 bill was a big deal. In reality, the actor playing him was quietly building one of the smartest investment portfolios in Hollywood. He bought cheap land tied to natural resources right before the energy market exploded. When prices skyrocketed and new technology made those old properties suddenly valuable, he was sitting on a fortune. He kept acting because he enjoyed it, said the work funded the hobby, and the hobby was making him rich. The flannel was a costume. The financial genius was the real man. Then there's the lead actor who absolutely should not have gotten the job. 18 years old. From the Northeast. Never lived anywhere near the South. Zero credentials for a role built entirely around regional identity. So he did what any determined teenager would do, invented a complete backstory, borrowed a beat-up truck, skipped shaving for a few days, found the worst hat he could, walked into the audition holding a drink, and claimed he was from a small southern town that doesn't actually exist. His accent was so thick the producers never questioned it. He got the part. Then had to secretly learn to drive the car after being cast. For 7 seasons, one of TV's most iconic Southern roles was played by a kid from a New York suburb who lied his way into a room and never looked back. That kind of nerve deserves respect. Most people don't realize the show started out much darker. The first episodes were filmed on real rural roads with genuine local atmosphere, grittier tone, rougher edges, actual consequences. Then the network saw the ratings potential and did what networks do. Moved everything to a studio lot, softened every edge, turned the tension into slapstick. What started raw and uncomfortable became the colorful, freeze-frame, nobody gets seriously hurt version the world fell in love with. Both versions are interesting. Only one became a phenomenon. At the height of the show's popularity, the production received enormous amounts of fan mail every single month. More than half of it was addressed not to any human cast member, but to the car. Kids wanted engine specs. Adults asked where to buy one. Some people just wrote letters about how cool it looked doing something physically impossible in slow motion. The car was a celebrity with its own fan base and its own mythology. Today, the tiny number of original production vehicles that survived are worth staggering amounts, some valued higher than most people's homes. The show destroyed hundreds of them during production. What's left is priceless. Now here's one that completely reframes the villain. The bumbling county boss in the white suit, the sweaty, corrupt cartoon of small-town politics, was played by an actor with one of the most extraordinary resumes in the entire cast. Valedictorian of his high school. Enrolled in an elite university at 16. Graduated by 19. Earned a graduate arts degree from another top institution. Served as a military intelligence officer. Spoke 6 languages fluently and dabbled in several more. Had a serious Broadway career and an Emmy nomination before he ever put on that ridiculous padding, because the character was physically much larger than him, so he wore costume additions to bulk up. The slow southern drawl was deliberate construction. He reportedly studied real political figures to get the cadence right. Underneath every absurd scene, a highly trained multilingual veteran was doing deeply committed character work. You'd never know it watching him waddle through a courthouse. That was the point. The show almost completely collapsed from the inside at the peak of its success. The two leads walked off the production in a dispute over merchandise money. Their faces were on toys, clothing, lunch boxes, branded products of every kind, and they weren't seeing a fair cut. So they left. The studio replaced them with two new characters slotted into the same roles with the same car and the same premise. Viewership collapsed almost immediately. The audience response was swift and brutal. The replacements lasted less than a full season before the dispute settled and the originals came back. When they returned, the replacement characters simply vanished, no goodbye, no explanation, no transition. Just gone. The audience was so relieved nobody asked questions. Most fans today genuinely cannot tell you which name belonged to which actor, and honestly that's probably fine. The stunt work was genuinely dangerous in ways modern productions carefully avoid. No digital safety nets. When a car went airborne, a real person was in it. When something went wrong, it went wrong in real life. People got hurt. Equipment failed. A crew member was tragically killed during filming when a vehicle lost control on set. Behind every gloriously reckless jump was a human being absorbing real physical risk. One specialist was responsible for most of the signature tilting stunts, balancing a full-size car sideways at speed, and could only perform the move in one specific direction, the same way someone is naturally right or left-handed. Every script calling for that stunt was quietly rewritten to match what he could actually do, because finding someone else willing to try it the other way wasn't a realistic option. He performed that same feat across dozens of productions throughout the decade. Practical, unrepeatable, completely real.
One of the most quietly brilliant moments connected to this world happened years after the show ended, buried inside a completely different series. A popular drama had an episode where two of its main characters appeared on screen together, and the guest star arrived driving a classic Dodge Charger, in a color that wasn't quite the famous one but was obviously deliberate. The guest character's name was a direct tribute to the musician who originally narrated and sang for the show. And the two actors were, of course, the same two who had driven that car together for years on television. No big announcement. No nostalgic wink to camera. Just a quiet, affectionate callback stitched into someone else's story, for the fans who were paying close enough attention to catch it. That's really what the show was, underneath all the noise. A collection of people doing extraordinary things inside an utterly ridiculous package. An actor building a financial empire behind a folksy persona. A teenager from New York convincing an entire country he was born in the South. A multilingual Ivy League veteran playing a cartoon villain with complete commitment. Stunt performers treating the genuinely terrifying like a normal Tuesday. And somewhere inside all of that controlled chaos, they accidentally made something that people are still watching, still arguing about, and apparently still writing fan mail about, to a car. That's not nothing. That's actually kind of remarkable.